A bold decision. Richard Moore, the owner of the high-end restaurant chain Moore's Fine Dining, had always believed that his restaurants provided an exceptional dining experience. Revenue reports and online reviews remained positive. However, an increasing number of complaints about poor service made him suspect that something was going wrong behind the kitchen doors. Some customers complained about staff attitudes, while others mentioned that the food quality was no longer up to standard. Anonymous reviews even accused employees of pressuring guests into ordering expensive dishes through dishonest tactics. A longtime customer sent him a direct email, stating that the restaurant had strayed from the values Richard once upheld. These concerns made Richard realize that he could no longer sit idly by. Determined to uncover the truth, Richard decided to embark on a special mission, going undercover as an ordinary customer in his own upscale restaurant. He knew that if he appeared as the owner, employees would behave differently and conceal any misconduct. This way, he could experience the service firsthand and assess its quality without any bias. Before carrying out his plan, he spent several days analyzing negative reviews on multiple platforms, anonymously speaking with former customers to gather firsthand feedback, and observing staff behavior through surveillance cameras. He even asked a friend to dine at the restaurant as a mystery guest and report back on their experience. Once he had gathered enough data, he meticulously planned his approach while ensuring that his identity remained a complete secret. Becoming a customer for the first time, dressed in simple clothing, wearing black-rimmed glasses and a well-crafted fake beard, Richard walked into the restaurant he owned. No one recognized him, which was exactly what he wanted. Customers with reservations were warmly welcomed by the staff's bright smiles, while Richard, with his unremarkable appearance, was quickly ignored. He stood for a moment, observing the atmosphere, noticing how employees prioritized attending to well-dressed guests before deciding to seat himself at a corner table. A young waiter accidentally skipped over Richard's table without a greeting, focusing instead on guests who appeared wealthier. After several attempts to get attention, someone finally came to serve him, but their attitude was indifferent and lacked enthusiasm. The server's voice was cold, their responses were brief, and there was no effort to offer recommendations or assistance. Richard felt like an insignificant customer, someone undeserving of proper treatment in his own restaurant. Moreover, as he observed more closely, he noticed that certain servers deliberately focused on tables where guests wore designer outfits or expensive jewelry. Some diners seated in less prominent areas had to wait much longer for service. An elderly woman at a nearby table waved for assistance, but no one seemed to notice her. One thing that caught Richard's attention was how the staff presented dishes. A wealthy-looking customer entered and was immediately greeted with enthusiasm, offered wine pairings, and introduced to the restaurant's signature dishes. Meanwhile, a middle-aged couple dressed modestly received a shorter menu, with no recommendations for the restaurant's best dishes. This compelled Richard to take detailed notes on his experience so he could later confront the staff with specific observations. The shocking reality behind the kitchen doors. When he placed his order, Richard began paying closer attention to the kitchen staff. A head chef loudly berated employees over minor mistakes, creating a tense and pressured atmosphere. The assistant chefs all looked exhausted and disheartened, mechanically completing their tasks without passion or motivation. Richard examined the food preparation more closely and was shocked to see the careless handling of ingredients. Some were improperly stored, and others were visibly wilted or past their prime but still used. Everything about this operation went against the standards he had set when founding the restaurant. What disturbed him even more was the casual conversation among employees. That customer doesn't look rich. They probably won't tip well. Why bother giving them good service? Richard couldn't believe his ears. It felt as though the very core values he had established had been completely betrayed. This upscale restaurant was supposed to welcome all customers with respect and provide equal quality service. But instead, clear discrimination was at play. He wondered how many guests had left the restaurant feeling the same way, dismissed and unappreciated. Not only that, but he also overheard two waiters discussing how they upsold the most expensive items to guests without clearly explaining the costs. They used persuasive phrasing to make customers believe these were exclusive recommendations from the head chef. Furthermore, they subtly suggested that certain add-ons were essential for a complete dining experience, regardless of whether the guests actually wanted them. In a kitchen corner, Richard witnessed another unsettling scene. Expired ingredients were still being used. A young chef hesitated as he examined a piece of salmon that was clearly past its prime. But the head chef dismissed his concerns. Once it's cooked, the customers won't even notice. This left Richard feeling deeply frustrated. Additionally, he saw staff gossiping about customers behind their backs. A group of servers mocked a family with children for ordering budget-friendly items. They're just here for Instagram photos. They're not going to spend real money on good food. One of them joked. This confirmed Richard's worst fears: the lack of professionalism and ethics in customer service. The confrontation and transformation. After finishing his meal, Richard called for the manager and revealed his identity. The entire restaurant was stunned. Employees panicked. The manager stammered, while some customers paused their meals to witness the confrontation. Richard refused to let this end with just fear and embarrassment. He was determined to enact a complete transformation, revising employee training, dismissing staff with poor attitudes, and implementing a strict policy for service standards. He also introduced an internal review system where customers could directly provide feedback on their experience, ensuring that every guest received equal and professional treatment. Employees were summoned for an emergency meeting that same night. Richard demanded explanations for the poor service. Some staff excused their behavior by claiming they were simply following unspoken rules set by previous management, prioritizing wealthy guests over regular ones. Others admitted they felt pressured to maintain these practices to receive favorable evaluations from superiors and keep their jobs. Richard realized that this system not only harmed customers but also placed employees in an unfair and uncomfortable position. A young waiter, Mark, spoke up honestly. I hate having to serve this way. I want to treat all customers equally. But if I don't follow these unspoken rules, I lose my hours. We're forced to discriminate, not because we want to, but because we have no choice. Other employees nodded in agreement, some visibly emotional as they finally had the opportunity to speak the truth. Richard saw that the issue was not just with individual employees, but with the entire flawed management system that had fostered an unethical and unfair work environment. Richard not only dismissed employees with poor attitudes, but also implemented a full-scale retraining program to enhance service skills and instill a professional work culture. He introduced a reward system for staff who received positive customer feedback, encouraging genuine hospitality. Additionally, he established a direct customer service hotline, ensuring that all concerns would be heard and promptly addressed. The restaurant's revival. Months later, Moore's Fine Dining not only regained its reputation, but also became one of the highest-rated restaurants in the region. Customers returned in greater numbers. Revenue soared. And most importantly, both employees and guests felt a genuine, positive change. Richard witnessed this transformation with pride, realizing that true improvement sometimes requires stepping into the shoes of a customer and understanding every detail of their experience. Richard's example quickly spread, inspiring other restaurants to reevaluate how they treated their customers. Some establishments revamped their service approach, enhancing quality and prioritizing transparency. Thanks to his relentless efforts, Moore's Fine Dining didn't just recover. It emerged as a symbol of customer dedication, redefining the standards of excellence in the fine dining industry. What do you think about this story? Which lesson resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on more inspiring and thought-provoking stories.